Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to this discussion on Selena Sessions. The topic is going to be what men desire in women. And I know a few months ago I had a similar topic. It was 5 things he wanted her to know and 5 things she wanted to know. And the feedback that I got from that was positive feedback. However, I heard a lot of those are really not the kind of guys I'm interested in. So I said, okay, I'm going to do another panel and I'm going to find a different kind of guy just to see if the answers are going to be different. So we'll see. And that's what the topic is, what men desire in women. So as we go along, I'll just do a brief introduction or let you introduce yourself just so that everyone will know who they're listening to. We'll start with you, Manny.
Hey, how you doing? Manny from Brooklyn. BK, how you doing?
And Manny is actually my baby cousin. He'll always be my little baby, Yeah. And Finch.
Yeah, my blood cousin.
Hey, what's up? It's Finch. Many of you guys may have heard my voice on various broadcasts, movie trailers, but I'm here tonight having this great conversation with a great group of guys. So,
did you say booty triggers?
No. I don't know where your mind is right now. I said movie trailers.
Oh, movie trailers. Oh, I thought you said booty triggers. I was like, nah, I didn't hear that one.
What is booty triggers?
So many questions. So many questions.
Matt, you're up.
What's going on, y'all? My name is Matt Walker, originally from New Jersey, living out here in the DMV. I am married, have been married for almost 10 years. Been with my wife for 13. I'm excited to share my perspective.
Oh, very good. Okay, so I'm just going to get right into it. And I'll start with Matt. We just heard your voice. I'll just start with you. And there is no order. Whatever you feel like you want to share, just share. Just tell me what men are looking for in women. Just from a man, of course, you're a man, male's perspective. Because as a woman, we think we know what men want, but we tend to think they want the same things that we want in a man. Mm-hmm. And that's not the case. And that's what I want women to understand is that they don't want the same things that we want. And what's important to us is not necessarily important to them. So Matt.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. I think for a lot of men, it really does depend on where you're going and what your interests are and like what your plan is, right? So if someone is marriage minded, typically we have a certain list versus somebody who's just kind of casually dating. Mm-hmm. I will say, I think some universal pieces are someone who is fun to be around, obviously beautiful, but somebody who is also agreeable and not willing or looking to try to pick fights for no reason. We want somebody that if we were looking to spend the rest of our lives with them and get married with them, it would be a smart decision because this is somebody who we genuinely enjoy spending time with, someone who's willing to listen to us and not tell us that we don't know anything. And the reason I say that is because sometimes out in the dating world, I remember back in the day, I would date women. They'd have all different types of opinions and things to say. And sometimes I would be like, wow, this would never be a good match because it would be too combative because our opinions are different, right? And so being able to find somebody who can actually check those boxes, like I know for me, I wanted somebody who was beautiful. I wanted somebody who was smart. I wanted somebody who definitely had a certain look, but had a certain mindset, wanted to step her game up as well as, you know, build like a legacy and so on. And so I think a lot of brothers are looking for that, but they're just also looking for somebody who genuinely wants to be with them, right? Because a lot nowadays, fellas, I've heard heavily, especially on the social audio space, that they feel like women are interested in them just for their material things that they may have or that they may be able to provide, whether they make 100,000 or less, whatever. And so a lot of men nowadays just want women who genuinely want to be with them.
Okay. Manny, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with everything Matt said 100%. But there's one fact I want to add is what I particularly would say is important is respect, you know, because I see a lot nowadays that, and that goes into the finances as well, which is a whole nother thing, you know, like what a man's providing and what he's bringing to the table and what aspects of respect a woman should have for a man who is or is not, you know, but that also I feel like that goes into when you first, like he said, when you get into the beginning stages, deciding where you want to go with it. Okay, where we going with this? We having fun? All right, then did you expect this from me? I expect this from you. Leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? If we want marriage, all right, let's talk about this. Marriage is, all right, this is what I expect in marriage. This is what I expect from the future. Instead of just letting it be just, kind of figuring each other out, I feel like there needs to be more straight, direct honesty in the beginning. And that'll help a lot of relationships and a lot of things, a lot of people from getting heartbroken too. Guys want to come in and lie, and women want this, and the guy wants to be that because he wants that. But it's like, if that's not you, brother, just keep it real. Nah, that's not me. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's one thing, respect and honesty. Actually, I'm sorry, two things that's important in a relationship is if you respect somebody, that comes with a lot. So that's just what I feel. And everything Matt said too. I was going to say some of that stuff too. So I agree with you 100%, brother. Like,
but that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that there are, of course, there are different kind of men. And I asked them what I would call silly men. And the core of what men want is really the same across the board, no matter how much money he makes, whatever. It's like the core of it is pretty much the same. And every now and then you'll find some little off different things. But for the most part, it's like you said. So I hear respect. Finch, explain when a man says he wants a woman to respect him, because what a woman seems like, they'll say, I don't see why that was disrespectful. But to a man, it's like, no, that was. So explain, like, give an example of a woman being disrespectful or not respecting a man would be.
Talking over him when he talks. That's highly disrespectful. And a great number of women, people in general, but women don't see that as disrespectful. That says what you have to say is vitally more important than what he has to say. And I think when you're looking at a healthy, so that's the thing too, I think we have to look at is, do you just want a relationship with someone, or do you want a healthy relationship? Because we subscribe to toxicity. That's what we've been bred to believe is the norm. And so we do a host of things that are disrespectful in nature, but we don't see them as disrespectful because of who we are as people. So, one of the things that a man would find disrespectful is a woman interrupting him when he's talking. Like we're having a conversation, and sometimes we have people where they inject how they feel about something. As soon as you start talking about or rebutting what they're saying, then they're going to cut you off because they got more to say. And in a host of cases, as a man, if you're sitting there listening to a woman give you her whole spiel, you don't say a word, and as soon as you start talking, she cuts you off. That could be deemed as disrespectful, because it's like, hey, I respected your opinion. I don't necessarily agree with it. And sometimes, depending on the man, we can disagree with you in a respectful manner, and we don't have to get loud and shouting. And that's another thing that a man would find disrespectful, is raising your voice at him. So those are two things that men find to be disrespectful. Your first question was, what do men desire? I think we have to look at, there's different levels on different types of men. They all desire something different. Some men just desire to sleep with you. So that's going to be his only goal. Some men desire to hang out with you, waste your time, but they don't see you being wife material. And then there's a host of men who want to grow with you, but in a lot of cases, you don't see the need to grow, because we have oftentimes unrealistic expectations when it comes to men or women as it relates to relationships.
Now, let me ask you this, because you did mention it. Like a man knows when he meets a woman, he pretty much knows what category she's going to fall into. Is she going to be somebody I can see, long term, but not the end term? And someone, I'll just call you on weekends. So he pretty much knows. What's the likelihood of when he meets a woman and he already classifies her as, you're my weekend booty call, or however he wants to call it, what's the likelihood of him transitioning her into a different category?
Well, first we got to say, every man does not know, because it depends on the maturity of that man and his mindset. And if you have a man that has an understanding of what he needs or what he desires, that's going to allow him to build something that's healthy and long-term, if that's his desire, encounter a woman that started out as a weekend, but he sees potential in her, that's a conversation he would have with her about, hey, I see us going in this direction and seeing if they have like interests, so that they're both on the same page, because that plays a role too. You know, I think when two individuals come into what they call courtship or dating per se, not having the same end goals oftentimes is what causes them not to end up together.
Okay.
Now, Selena, if I could jump in real fast.
Yes, and whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Oh, okay, good.
Just don't cut
'Cause
them
I
off,
agree.
though.
First-
Just don't cut them off. That's
Okay.
respectful.
No problem. That I can do. I want to say first what Finch said earlier regarding cutting men off and like kind of like that disrespect. I was singing in a choir behind you, brother. It was gospel because it's so true. And I think what I think as we've done as a disservice as men to an extent is letting women think that that kind of behavior is like, okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't been staunch enough to say like, no, that's not cool.
Right.
Because not only does it show your lack of respect for me, it really says that you genuinely don't want to hear what I have to say because you don't value my opinion. So that's why I start to just feel like a vessel, like I'm just here. It doesn't matter who it's here. It's I'm a male figure here to do your bidding or whatever. And it doesn't matter if it's me, if it's the next man, because if you cared about what I said, you would listen. And that's the issue that a lot of brothers have spoken about and have been a lot more vocal about recently, because it's something that I think a lot of us have kept to ourselves because the whole mantra, happy wife, happy life type of thing. And nowadays, you know, it's happy spouse, happy house, right? Because we want to make sure everybody understands we all have to be respected in this. We all have to have a voice. Like my wife and I, we disagree. You know, we have discussions. We don't yell at each other. That's just not, I'm not yelling at her because I know what my yelling and projection would really do to her, right? And vice versa. She understands how I take it as an absolute sign of disrespect because I just don't understand why. Even when we're really frustrated and even angry, like we can express that. And I'm not saying you have to talk like a church mouse. You can raise your voice, but like yelling, like actual yelling, no. And so that's always going to cause an issue for any woman and any trying to be in any kind of relationship with any man, because any man who's worth a damn and who actually cares about you. Because I used to date women that would try to yell at me and I would laugh at it because I'm like, I'm not even like, this isn't even a real thing. Like, this is literally, I'm here for, you know what I'm here for. So like you yelling is weird because I'm not invested in you. Like you could literally be yelling while I'm walking out the door or while I'm walking you to the door. Like, you know what I'm saying? And to answer your most recent question, you were just like, you know, in terms of, I think you said something about transitioning, like you meeting a woman and potentially that transitioning into something real. Because some men know, I think transition, when you said transition, that's what mixed it up, right? Because I know, and I'll speak for myself, when I was dating, and if I would date a woman, I don't know, man, transition, like after our first interaction, I'm pretty sure I know where you stand. So transitioning out of that to something more serious, I mean, it could be a surprise, right? Like I might have made my mind up here and then we kick it, we hang out. And then I'm like, oh, maybe you're different than I thought. But typically, even in those situations, like you get an inkling of that initially when y'all hang out. And I'm like, oh, I would actually like to hang out with her again and maybe just kind of kick it because she showed me something like that. But typically we know pretty quickly, like, oh no, this is just going to be, I'll call it casual. You know what I mean? And just kind of go from there.
And I think the reason why I ask that too is because I see a lot of women, they're holding out, hoping things will be different. And one of the things I try to explain to them is that is like what you said, he pretty much knows. And if you have the type of relationship where he's happy and he's content and you're just letting him ride along, he's gonna ride it till the wheels fall off until he finds that one that he knows, okay, that's her. That's the one that I want. But she's still holding on, and it could be 3, 4, 5 years. If a man hasn't found the one, he will ride it out. He will ride it out. Like I said, till the wheels fall off. And so they don't understand, like, you know, women don't understand, like, and then the first thing they think is, oh, he was cheating the whole time because you didn't marry me, but as soon as she comes along and we break up and now you're marrying her. And it's not that he cheated, it's just that he never planned on marrying. And so it's important, like you said, communication. And I tell guys this too, just tell the woman what you'll be surprised at what women and men too, just let them make an informed decision. If all you want is casual sex, just say that. There are some people that'll be like, okay, you know.
No, that's
but
true.
of course, for women,
Yeah,
it will change. We'll say okay at the beginning, but then, after a couple times, then it's like, no, it's not okay anymore. And that's where the problems start.
That part.
So with what you see around in society going, like as far as social media and how women are interacting, are you seeing anything that is just like no, this could be very well why you're not finding, and I don't even want to use the term a high value man or whatever, but a good man, somebody that, somebody that is marriage or husband potential. Like, is there something that you're seeing going around that is common in women that you're like, see this right here, this could very well be what's stopping you from finding that one or him wanting to be with you?
I feel I'm sorry, go ahead, boss.
No, go ahead, Manny. You go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, because I'm like, I'm not really into the social media stuff like that, but one thing I see that bothers me a lot is like the women put their bodies out there and then expect like a man to respect you or call it thirsty or want to block you because they're in your DMs. So like, it's like, why are you putting yourself out there like that? What do you think a guy's gonna fly by your page and be like, oh wow, look, she has nice hair. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? You're putting yourself out there for that. What do you expect to happen? And then then you're looking for love and looking for all these other things on Instagram. Social media is not the place for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one thing that I see, even like amongst my peers, you know what I mean? They kind of like get into that slide in the DM and all that. I was like, that's, to me, I'd rather just, that it kind of takes away from, I'm a little bit old school with that. Like, it's supposed to be more interaction with people. Sit down, have a conversation, let her see you in person, let her talk to you, let him talk to you, have a conversation. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like adults, like instead of doing the social media stuff. And then when you meet her and she don't look nothing like you looked, but like you thought she looked, yeah, that's social media, bro. That's the point. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing that really like bothers me. And I see people complaining about not finding relationships and not being happy. Yeah, because you're on social media posting yourself a certain way. You're portraying a certain image. So you're gonna attract that certain vibe and certain frequency to you. You know what I mean? That's one thing I feel like that got to stop on both ends. Guys too, flaunting their money on Instagram. Yeah, then when you're mad when you're getting gold diggers,
come on.
Don't be mad at them. That's what you're doing. You flashing, yo, I got this, I got your gold chains, and like, come on, that's stupid. Like, we got to stop it. And if that's what you do, then that's fine. You know what I mean? But it's just, I just feel like it causes too much confusion, because when people start to see in person how a person is, it's nothing like that. Like, oh, you ain't nothing like you was on social media. I thought you had this. Yeah, you thought wrong. That was just to get you, and now I got you. You know what I mean? Like, that's how that works. So that's one thing I feel like needs to like kind of chill. Like, people just need to be more honest with themselves, and like, you know what I mean? Or just don't post, whatever the case is. But that stuff is just too much. Putting their bodies on, guys too, both ways. And not just male or females, both, So that's what I see about that.
Okay. All right, Manny. But to be so young. So we talked a lot about, like you said, social media. And I know guys in relationship with women, and to them, that's it's frustrating to them, because they're like, I'm in a relationship with you. Why do you keep making all these posts trying to get all this attention? It's like, you're in a relationship already. Why are you doing this? Why are you putting our business on social media? When you're mad at me, then you post something and everybody knows you're talking about me. You don't have to post everything I buy for you on social media. And it's frustrating to a lot of guys that I talk to. It is really frustrating to them.
Because it's strange.
You said it's strange.
Very.
Very much so. I don't understand
Absolutely.
it. I just don't. Yeah. It makes me feel like you're not secure now, right? It just with yourself, like outside of having to post, like I just feel like you need the validation. And so this topic is real, and I'll make this quick. It's so difficult for me, right? Because the dad in me or the nice guy in me wants to be like, you should be able to express yourself on your social media however you want, right? Like, my social media is full of jokes, memes, that kind of thing, because I'm just not into posting myself. But I have to be honest, because when I listen to men and they talk about the things that they don't like women doing, my wife doesn't do any of those things. And I was just like, damn. I agree. You know, like if I'm going through your IG and it's majority, first of all, if you're posting, if I've gone through like 15 pictures and it's only Wednesday, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of pictures. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot of letting everybody know what you're doing every day. So like, what's really going on? Like, and that would honestly be my first thought. Like, I have to keep it real. And maybe it's because I'm a little older, because I know the younger generation, because like Manny said, I would look at it the same way. Like if I'm a guy and I'm taking all these shirtless pictures, but I'm showing you my workouts, you know what I'm saying? But I'm doing calf raises, but I got my shirt off. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna be like, this is crazy. But then I can't be like, man, women are just objectifying me left and right, and I don't understand why. It doesn't make sense. And I think that something that I've heard recently that I found to be really interesting, and I think it's definitely like indicative of the times. Men were saying that women really want to be with a man often because they want to be able to stunt on social media and say, similar to what you were mentioning, like, look at what he got me this, oh, my boo, date night, oh, this and that, really just to show off to other women, more so than even for their own personal gain. And so it kind of all leads back to that same thing I was talking about earlier, where a lot of men feel like we're literally just here to provide the look or the finances or whatever for whatever type of persona you're trying to put out there, you know, and telling people you're happy, because we all know it. I mean, if you're really happy, you don't have to tell everybody that you're happy to prove that you're happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm like, no, I'm happy. That's what it comes off to me as when you're posting over and over, like, life is amazing. And that doesn't mean that you don't post, you know, but yeah, I would definitely look 2 or 3 or 4 times at a woman who has a whole bunch of posts, who, if all of the posts are the back shots, like you found this very creative way to show your butt at a certain angle with the sun glimmering, you know what I'm saying? I can't sit here and be honest and say that I would necessarily take a woman very seriously. And because I'm also not in the practice of trying to change anybody, right? Like, I don't want you to not be who you are. It just means that we probably wouldn't be in anything long-term commitment wise, but we can still hang out. We can always hang out. Brothers will always be casual. We typically don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, Matt, what you're saying, Matt, is so true, man. Because people always say, well, I hear a lot of women say this, you should accept me for who I am, and not realizing who you are is probably why no one has accepted you.
Come on.
So, because you don't look at the fact, and like you said, Matt, I mean, you go through, it's Wednesday, not only just 15 posts, but 15 posts of just you. Just you. All day long, it's you. And again, it's your social media. You can post whatever you want, but I think what you post says a lot about who you are as a person. And when you're talking about having an interest and men being interested in you, and there's no good men out there, well, that's the biggest lie ever told, because there's a lot of great men out here. It's just, you got to look at your picker and the types of men. Because when I hear women talk about there's no good men, or a category where it's generalizing men, that really tells me about the types of men you have overly selected over and over again. And that's all you know, because you're really basing that on your experience. And so when we look at social media as men, again, I think it depends on the type of man that you're talking about. And a man that is looking for something of substance, he's looking beyond your booty. I don't care how many angles you've shown it. He's not really looking at that, because he's looking at, that's all you got to offer? I can get booty anywhere. I don't need just booty. I'm looking for something a little bit more. How do you help me build anything? Like anything. It don't have to be a business, but how do we build a family? How do we build one another up? What do you have to offer a person that enhances them? Because if all you coming in is about what you're going to receive from it, we're already operating at a deficit.
That's true.
So, like you said, I know a lot of great men. And sometimes people ask me, you know, they're like, Selena, you're so picky. He's a good guy. I'm like, yeah, he's a great guy, and he will make an excellent husband, just not for me. just not for me. And that's okay, But when I hear women say that, I'm like, I meet a lot of great guys. But one question I've been hearing a lot lately is because now there are a lot of women who are like, they're starting to value their bodies more. So they want to practice abstinence. So they're like, I can't find a guy who is okay with that.
Can I start with that one?
Go ahead, Finch.
Because let me tell you something. See, that works on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Many years ago, I decided, at some point I wanted a wife, so I practiced abstinence. When I was meeting women, they were very manipulative and trying to coerce me into having sex. Mm-hmm. So that works on both sides of the spectrum. There's a host of men that want to, I would say, value their bodies just as much as women do. Mm-hmm. But again, I think it goes back to our picker. The types of men or the types of women we are picking determines the type of man or woman we receive in wherever we're meeting them at. And I'm not one of those people who believe social media is the devil and everybody on social media is bad, because that's not the truth. But you have to look at the criteria that you have in your selection process. It's just like, I always equate things to sports, and the guys can probably attest to this. It's just like the NBA draft. What do teams go through before selecting a candidate that candidate goes number 1, number 2, number 3? They have a selection process. I think we have negated that fact when it comes to dating. Many people don't have a selection process that's built on sound stuff that allows you to build something with somebody. I think so many times we are looking at people as superhuman, and we don't leave room for them to actually be humans and make mistakes and grow with them and exercise our patience, be kind with them, not come in with a self-serving agenda. And so in essence, we kind of shy away from what we need to build something that's healthy and long-term.
So a lot of men that are practicing abstinence?
I personally do.
I mean, okay. If you had to tell me how many?
At least 7.
Okay, that's a pretty good number. 7? All right.
7 is a
Manny,
good
are you single?
number.
Yeah, all right.
No, I have a girlfriend.
You said what, Manny? You said you practice in abstinence?
No, I said I have a girlfriend.
I asked him if he was single. No, and I was just asking because I wanted to know if he, because I know what my opinion on that is. Like, if I started dating my wife and she had said that she was practicing abstinence, no, it probably wouldn't have worked. I have to be honest with myself. And that's just me keeping it real, right? And it's not because, and it's because of where my mindset was back then when we got together. If we were dating now as a grown man, I could do it for a specified amount of time if I felt like she was really the one and it made sense, but we would probably have to get married within the year. I ain't gonna lie. Okay. That would be my only caveat, because if I'm dating a woman who was abstinent and I'm continuously dating, then I'm really interested, right? But then I have a certain goal in mind to begin with. And so if those things align with both of us, then cool. But back in my younger days, I don't think I would have taken that seriously. And some of the feedback I've gotten from men on this topic is, not all, but a lot feel like women use it as a ploy.
True.
And use it as a game and use it as a bargaining chip. So they don't take it seriously. And a lot of them just feel like we're grown, like we can date and we can do whatever we do. And it doesn't mean I'm gonna, look at you differently. So I think that, are there men that would deal with it? Yeah. I can't say that I feel like that number is huge. So I don't know. I feel like I understand why women say like it's hard to find a man that's willing to deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's another thing too, is like, if you meet a guy and you have sex with him and you're in a relationship and you guys have sex, and then you decide during the relationship, now I want to be abstinent, you can't get upset with him for not accepting it, because those were not the rules of engagement when we got together. But because now, and like you said, at that point, he will look at it as like, oh, you're playing games now. Now you're using this as a tool. to either get me to marry you or whatever the case may be. But like you said, if we are dating and we know, I don't understand these year engagements unless like you're trying to build something. So financially, there's a reason why. But just because like, I don't know, like we haven't found a date yet, the stars haven't aligned for the venue that we wanted, whatever the case may be. That I don't understand that. I'm like, if you know you're with the one that, and you two are going to be together, just do it. Just do it.
That's true.
Well, what difference, what's going to happen differently? I mean, do your research ahead of time, of course, don't be foolish about it. But other than that, what's gonna change? I mean, if he has a criminal record, you find that out. If he got 12 babies, find that out first. You should have did that beforehand. That should have been your preliminary work. Dude can do a background. If Jobs do a background check, why can't I?
This goes back to the vetting, like what Finch was
true.
talking about.
Exactly. Give me that cup. Give me that cup because I need to send it off.
Not the cup.
We doing the pea cup?
Yeah, that's what she's talking about.
all that stuff.
And you know what too? Men sometimes we would look at that too, like we think about it like this. No disrespect. People always say no disrespect when disrespect.
When it's disrespect, right.
But we might look at that as, so you done slutted yourself out with all these other men, and now you trying to hold out on somebody that you see valuable? What? You don't get out of here with that.
Come on now.
Because that's how
disrespectful.
That's how we would look at that. It's like, so you telling me, because you're not, we have already discovered you're not a virgin. That would be the only reason why you're practicing abstinence right now. So you done gave it up to all these guys who ain't here right now. I'm here. I've been here for X amount of time. Let's say it's been 6, 7, 8 months, 9 months. I haven't pressed you to have it safe, but you're telling me I gotta wait because of what again? So that's how we look. That's how we would look at things. That's how I would look at that. Like, come on, be real. Yeah. I'm with Matt though. In my younger days, probably wouldn't have. I wouldn't have been like, nah. Not because I don't want to respect her not wanting to have sex. It's just like for what I just said. Like you done gave it up to everybody else, and now you saying I'm special, but I gotta wait. Yeah,
because you're special. You gotta wait because you're special. So I want to welcome Akeem. Akeem is another one of my cousins, and he told me, he was going to be like, he coaches football a little bit.
Is he in the witness protection program?
Witness protection.
We can't even see him. It's like one of them when they do that thing when they trying to hide the identity.
Oh, like the blurry. Oh yeah.
Better.
I can see you, Keem.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm here.
So yeah, we're just casually discussing things, what men are desiring in women. So, and we talked about different things, but I want to ask this because when I do my coaching, I'm hearing a lot of females with this, and they wear it as a badge of honor. I'm an alpha female. Tell me what you think about that. Anybody?
I have a question. What does that mean?
Well, to her, it's like I can basically, she's aggressive. She acts in a masculine manner, but the definition of it, she's financially secure. She can take care of herself. She doesn't need your money. That's basically it. She can provide.
She runs the relationship.
I'm sorry, Matt?
She runs the relationship also.
More, probably.
That's what alpha means.
Right.
I'm telling you.
And you saying she can take care of herself. She should be able to take care of herself.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No,
I agree.
I want to break it down from a male's perspective because I try to explain to women that it does take away from the feminine side of you, and it puts you in this masculine position. So now, like Manny said, you're fighting for leadership of this relationship, and it's not about her being servant to him, but everybody can't lead at one time, and it's like, if you're going to overpower me with your energy, and women have to understand men and women are different, and we should carry different energies. That's what balances it. So if we all have the same energy.
I agree 100%.
I
agree 100% with that.
Okay.
Yes, gender roles are important.
Absolutely not.
Go ahead, break that down, Akeem.
So there's just certain qualifications that men should have, certain qualifications that women should have. When it comes to gender specific, give me a second. You guys go ahead. Let me come back. Let me think about it a little bit more, and then I'll give you a better, more intel answer.
Okay. Go ahead, Manny.
I think Manny has something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I was gonna say, gender roles is kind of like in today's norms is being redefined. Back in the days, like how my grandparents grew up was like I use my grandparents, my grandfather, my grandmother, my dad's side for an example, right? My grandfather was a breadwinner. He took care of everything. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, his woman, like, was the only one he that he respected. Like that she still like took care, made sure things was good. She had her own way. So it was a different dynamic. And it's like men and women understood that a little bit different back in the days, because I feel like those things were that was kind of the norm at the same time, but at some degree they were kind of honest with each other, more so than people are nowadays. Now when people get in relationships now, it's more like who has more is the one that's in charge. Like, oh, I got this, so you got to do what or you got this. It shouldn't be like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like if one has more than the other and you agree, listen, you the breadwinner, this is what I'm gonna do. Even if I'm the man, if I stay home, cook, clean, and my woman is making the money and she's like, listen, babe, you stay home, I got this. There's nothing wrong with that. That shouldn't demasculate you. You know what I mean? That shouldn't make you less of a man or less of a person because this person is doing for you. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that happens with sometimes, like you said, this goes back to what you were saying about women posting what people are doing. You know what I mean? Now you're putting your business on social media. So of course people are gonna look at your man a certain type of way. Oh, he a bum. Oh, he this. Oh, he that. No, he's not. That's the agreement y'all had. You agreed that it's okay for him to stay home. You take care of the bills. That's the agreement, right? Okay. Nobody else should have an opinion about it. But social media gets involved. The norms are changing. You know what I'm saying? Again, women are becoming more of the breadwinners. They're going to school. They're getting educated. They're taking care of the houses, and the men are becoming more of the ones that are like, okay, babe, whatever. But again, I just feel like it shouldn't take away from a man because a woman has something. You should have your own. You should be proud of that. You know what I mean? When you come into a relationship, you should be proud that, look, I got mine. Okay, look, this is what I got. What you got? All right, well, listen, I ain't gonna lie, babe. I just got a car. I got this. You don't have a car? I have a car. All right, let's work together. I use my car to get to work to make the money to bring it home. You just can't. All right, what can you bring? All right, I can also work and get a job, a part-time job. Even though she might still be the breadwinner, the respect should still be there. You know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like respect gets lost because finances get involved and people start doing this. Oh, I'm the one that, like you said, alpha. That's fine. You can be an alpha, but there can also be two alphas if they learn to work together. You understand what I'm saying? In a wolf pack, there's an alpha male and an alpha female. You understand what I'm saying? They work together to make sure that the family works and eats together. You understand what I'm saying? So there's no like the alpha female listen to the male and that's it. No, if his woman come and say, yo, look, all right. And if a man come and say, yo, look, all right, okay, babe, it should be equal, So that's what I have to say about that, about gender roles and those sort of things. It's whatever agreement you make, and that should be between you and your mate, whoever you with. If that's what y'all decide y'all want to do, that's fine. Some men are just not good at working. Now what? Now you put this man in a position to do. I'm serious. Some men just can't keep a job, but they might be great at other things. You understand what I'm saying? They can mow the lawn. They can fix a car. They can fix a door.
Exactly.
Okay, let that man shine in what he could do. You know what I'm saying? Build him up. Stop with the tearing each other down because he's not living up to society's norms. We make the norms for our relationships. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I wanted to say about that.
That part, man, I agree with you completely because when you think about it, aren't we supposed to take care of one another? And that was the thing.
Absolutely.
That's what we was talking about earlier about social media. That's one of the things, the poisons of social media is because you're putting things out there about your relationship or your business, and now you're listening to societal norms that doesn't necessarily work for your household. So that brings in toxicity into your relationship. It brings chaos in. It disturbs the peace. And nobody in the home is happy because we're trying to live up to somebody else's unrealistic expectation when our agreement allowed us to operate in peace and unity. So you got to stick to what works for you guys. And like you said, Manny, there's a host of other things he can do. It. I believe if you are a woman, you have a certain amount of things when he comes in and you come into a relationship and he doesn't. What's wrong with you showing him how to do what you did? It could be his upbringing. It could be the the lifestyle that he had as a man that didn't teach him or afford him certain opportunities or certain educational. I'm not talking about college or anything like that. I'm just talking about him learning certain things. But he has some skill set. And I think as a woman, you show your true value when you can see where the man lacks and you can stab his weaknesses and allow him to be a man and you be a woman and y'all work together.
Absolutely.
What y'all said is so true, man. That's the issue, because people don't want to understand that we both play a role. Both of our roles are very important. Don't minimize anybody's role in this relationship. And that's something that took me some time, even in understanding like what Finch and Manny was just talking about. Like, we had traditional gender roles, but because society had traditional gender roles in a lot of ways, right? And it's like, my wife loves to build stuff. She loves building the furniture and the stuff that we buy. She loves it. But society tells me that I'm supposed to be the one that loves it.
Right.
I actually don't like it. Right? When we was dating, I remember when she was putting together this dining room table, she was like, we had the box. I carried the box in, obviously, right? And she's like, how do you feel about me putting this together? Like, she was so nervous to ask me. I'll never forget this. I was like, I don't give a damn. I don't want to do it. And she was like, if you could just help me out by like holding some of the big pieces. Sure. So now I'm the piece holder, right? And she putting the thing together. It's perfect. And I was just so proud of her. She said I was the first man she ever dated that didn't have a problem with that. That wouldn't try to like snatch the tools out of her hand and turn her into something that she's not. I'm like, I don't care what anybody says you're supposed to be doing, right? If this is what you want to do, especially if it's something I don't want to do, have at it. It's only us in here. You know what I mean? And that's, people for some reason forget that. And then it goes back to, because I want the women to understand. I don't take what the last two gentlemen said as like, oh, I have to build a man, because I know that's about to be like the response. Oh, I have to build a man. Or if he doesn't have this, oh, I have to do this. That's not what anybody's saying, because if you listen to both examples, both of those men said that the man still has to have a skill set, right? So if he's coming to you and he has nothing going on, he has no skill set, my brother's just looking for a place to crash, essentially, and your house look nice, that's not the same as a brother who might not be good at certain things, but could be really good at other things, right? And what oftentimes happens is when we're younger, we have one expectation level. Then when you get a little older, the list gets a little shorter, right? Like what y'all said just now, let's think about all the women that we know that might be a little older, that if you told them, you know, he may not make that much bread, but he can mow the lawn, he can put stuff together, he can build stuff, he can do all these other things. Come on now. You know, so there is value in all of it. And like what Manny said, I thought he said something that was really important. He was like, if he's staying at home and she's going out to work, even though for me, Matt, that doesn't work for me, right? But if somebody else does it and there's still respect in that relationship, that is what matters. Because my one boy, he married an alpha woman, right? And I was like, what is that actually like? And he was like, she's just a boss at her job. She's a high power attorney. You know what I'm saying? She makes a lot of money, you know, but he was like, as soon as she comes in the house, she like melts in my arms because she's been at work being this high powered person. So now, because she makes more than him. She was like, but when she comes home, he was like, she came home the other day from, was in the garage and screamed like a little kid because it was a spider, right? And she's like, go kill the spider, go kill the spider. And he's like, the alpha woman comes to me and he's like, you know, just a real chill, relaxed kind of dude. But he was like, but who's the man? Who got to go kill the spider, right? Who got to get on the ladder, right? And do it. So it's like, we have to stop making it seem like this is a one-dimensional thing. It's whatever makes you and the other person happy. That's it. Stop. Hard stop. Doesn't matter what anybody else has to say about it. As long as there's respect in the relationship and what I want is what you want and what you want is what I want, and we're trying to build and grow together in the same direction, cool. And that's where I feel like we need to keep it.
And Finch and I had this conversation earlier, and that's what we basically said. It's like, as long as you two agree on it, then that's fine. Because as soon as you try to go the way that somebody else, like, okay, so I'm spiritual. I base the way I feel like the marriage should be patterned after the Bible. You might not be. So you might not feel like I should submit to my husband. But if you marry a man who's okay with that, who am I to come in and disrupt that and say, y'all not doing it right? Like I told him, I can only tell you what I believe. Like I can't tell two men how to make their marriage work. I have no clue. I wouldn't even know what to begin to share with you. Now, one thing I will say was like when Manny said, some men don't know how to work. Now, I can't just sit here and be okay with that. Okay,
because if you know how to cut lawns, then you know how to work.
I knew she was gonna bring it back on you, Manny. I knew that.
Right. I knew I was waiting for that. Like, oh, here we go. I'm waiting for it.
Because you said if he can cook, if he can mow the grass, if he can do all that, then he can work. Then you can find a way to make that into a business or make some money. Because if I wasn't here, where would you be living? With your mom?
But see, I'm sorry if you don't mind me cut, but that's what I'm saying about
you cut me off. That's
too. I'm sorry.
We just talked about respect, man.
We just talked about respect. I'm sorry.
No, you good. Go ahead.
Yeah, now I was agreeing with what you were saying, but that's why it's important too to have a woman like that who knows, like, all right, I see that he's good at that. Let's try to build with that. That's what I mean by building with each other. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to say with that, like, I agree with you 100% on that. You're right.
She
if he can't
sees
work,
what that is.
He can do something. You like doing that? All right, babe, let's try to get a business. Oh, you like painting? All right, so guess what? We're going to paint and we're going to send them to the galleries and try to, oh, you like, okay, let's do this. There's ways that always build, but that's why it's important to be in a relationship with somebody who understands that and can help you push you in the right direction. Especially women, because some women are misguided too, and men are misguided. So if y'all both misguided, you can't help each other out, That's why it's important to have that, that balance. So that's all I was saying. I agree, 100%.
You used the perfect word, balance. Balance.
Yeah, balance it.
Like we said, if you two agree on it, then move forward with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, because what's going to stop you? If it's working for you, because there are situations we hear all the time where the woman decides, okay, you go to school while I work.
Yep.
And then they flip-flop it because we both can't go to school at the same time. We still need to make sure this household is taken care of, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, as long as you two agree on it, it doesn't matter what anybody else does, because ultimately it's you and him, or him and her, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So it's not for me to come in and say you guys aren't doing this right. Now if you guys have a problem, if there's a problem that you need some kind of intervention, then in that case I could say, well, this could possibly be where the breakdown is right here.
Right.
But if what you're doing is working and you're in harmony and you both agree, so be it. Go on, do what you got to do.
Hey, Selena, what you just said, I had on my podcast, Off the Fence, we had a woman that wrote in about a similar situation, but it was the reverse. Her man had held her down for 2+ years while she went to school, and they had an agreement. And then he was having an issue with his mental health on his job, and he texted her asking her if he could take a break for, I think he only needed about 6 months to get himself together, and he wanted to finish up some school stuff. And she had a conniption. She was like, oh, so now you want me to hold it down and I ain't gonna do that. I mean, why did you mention about she was going on and on. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Yeah. And what he said was, he had already told her he quit his job because it was too stressful on him. And she was not understanding at all. And I think sometimes that is another issue that men deal with is it's not equally balanced. Women want certain things, but they're not willing to give those things as well. And so in that scenario, I was like, wow, man, that's kind of crazy. And she was asking on my podcast, what should she do? And I was like, man, you trifling. So,
Oh, I saw that on social media.
Yeah,
that happened on your podcast too?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I saw a thread about that on social media. It was a very similar situation. He had held her down. She got her degree, like her master's or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he needed something like similar, like just some time. And she was like, nah, that's crazy. But her thought process was, you're a man. You need to be able to handle this and like deal with it differently, because a man without a job is like, and that goes back again to like the beginning of the conversation, right? Because men are taught since we're born, if you're not doing something, you have no value, right? Mm-hmm. So him to be off for 6 months, although most of us with sound mind would be like, well, he's just taking 6 months off, right? And he just finished. And clearly financially, he would make sure everything is good. So that, I remember reading about a similar situation, and I was just kind of blown away by that. And I always, do a pulse check with my wife, like, what does this sound like to you? And it always helps me remember, like, we're on the same page. And I think it's also important for people to remember, like, relationships are supposed to be for the rest of your life. And if you think that the arrangement that you have when you first get with your partner is going to be the same one that you're going to have in like 10, 20 years, I think that's kind of crazy when we think about it, right?
Naive.
And we
Very
never even
naive.
get to that deep part of the conversation, because so many of these, and I love that you're doing this, Selena, because so many of these relationship conversations are talking about like first date stuff. But it's like, my wife and I both used to work. Now, as of this year, my wife doesn't work anymore. She didn't want to work. She wanted to be able to be a better mother, you know, a better wife. It was just a whole bunch of stuff going on at her job. So she was like, you know, she was afraid. She said she was afraid to bring it up to me because she thought I was going to be like, no, and be like, you just got to find another job, which I thought was crazy that she thought I would say that. But I was just like, okay, just give me some time just to make sure like everything is where it needs to be, and we'll make it happen. And we were able to make it happen. But if you would have asked me that 13 years ago when we were dating, I literally asked her 13 years ago, do you plan on always working? And she said, yeah, of course, because that's all she knew. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I would never date a woman that wouldn't work, because that's all I knew 13 years ago. Right. And now we're here, and I'm like, of course you can stay home, because I see the value in it now. And then again, relationships change, people change. Like the whole agreement hasn't shifted or whatever, but you're not the same person that you were in yesteryear, right? And I think people just feel like you're in this relationship and it's supposed to be static. Like, this is it. Yeah. This is what we decided. This is it. Nothing changes. You like the same food. You like the, and it's like, that's not even human nature. You know? So,
we have to grow, you know, and
we have
that's
to.
if we grow together, you know?
Right. That's the part, growing together. And that's where people mess it up, because growing together takes a lot of effort, and people don't even want to put that effort in. They really just, a lot of people really just want the placeholder. Like husband, wife, check. All right, what's my next goal in life?
That's true.
Do y'all think
that's why
the problem with men and women too is they have, like Matt just said, they have this depiction that a relationship is supposed to be static, and so the way it starts is the way it's going to be the rest of their lives, and that's not really reality, right?
And they don't understand that, and then that's why they're so high of a divorce rate, you know, because they don't understand that things change. So you have to change, you know, adapt to the situation, you know. And if you really love that person, you would adapt with them, and they would adapt with you, you know.
So it's like when you work in corporate America, if another business comes in and they buy the business, they're going to make changes. And of course, you've been so used to doing things a certain way, you know, the same for so long, it disrupts things. But my question is this: do you want a job? Because it's not going to stay the same because you are uncomfortable. Do you want a job? If not,
it's that simple.
Because you're gonna, even if you go to another company, you're gonna have to learn how they do things, and they might change it. So it's the same thing in a relationship. Things are gonna change. Did you make a commitment or not? It's not when it's, because basically what it is now you're being lazy because you don't realize you've changed too. So that person has adapted to your changes as well. And that's what it is you have to constantly, when they say you have to fall in love all over again, because if this person changes, I made a commitment. So I have made the conscious choice to love you no matter what. So now I have to love this new you that you're becoming, as long as it's not craziness, you know. Don't tell me now all of a sudden you want to start swinging and have this open marriage. Now that we're not doing that.
That's a little different.
You know, other than
that's
that,
a lot different. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot different. Yeah.
You know, other than that, you know, we have to do this together. And like you said, a pulse check, or what I call them, health checks. I think it's important for couples to sit together a couple times a year and say, okay, where are we? Where are we? You know, and not only that, where do we want to be in 5 months, 6 months, or whatever? And then when you meet back again, where did we deviate from this? If so, why? Why did we change our minds with this? You know, but it's constant. It's a partnership. It's like a business. This is your life partner. Your relationship is the business. You got to do what you need to do to make sure it's successful.
Yeah. And Selena, I think it's not enough people that do progress reports in their relationship, because they sometimes I think we're looking at the blame of the fault of the other person and not asking them how we are doing, so that they can give us an honest assessment of how we're doing with them. Because they're basing it on their experience with us, not our experience with us, but their experience with us. So I think that's another thing that we don't do enough progress reports within relationships to kind of gauge how we're doing and then looking at how we improve.
Because it hurts, and it also requires accountability, right? So like when my wife and I were first dating, not even just first dating, I can be honest and say even past first dating, you know, when we do some of them progress reports, it doesn't always feel good to hit a report. I got to be honest, it doesn't. Yeah. And there have been times where I've gotten her feedback and I've been pissed because I'm like, don't you see all the work I'm doing over here? What are you talking about, right? Here's what I had to learn. If she's telling me that everything on the left side of the house is broken, but I'm over here on the right side of the house cleaning and fixing and making sure everything is good, she's like, I mean, I appreciate everything being good over here, but I told you there was a problem over here. But you still over here killing it. You're killing it though. But that's not where the problem is. You know what I'm saying? And I had to recognize, like, I really have to listen, you know, to what my partner is saying when we are having these conversations. And I actually do have to fix some things. Like, I'm not perfect. I know we all like to say it real, you know, because it sounds good. You know, I know I'm not perfect. Most people don't believe that when they say that. We low-key think we're perfect a little bit. And when you really have to take a step back and take accountability for the things that you're doing and not doing in a relationship, and then having to make those changes, that's a decision, right? You have to decide, like, is this really still feeding me? Is this relationship still feeding me where I need to make these changes? And if they are, then you have to make the changes and you have to make it do what it do. But if you're not, Selena, you said a word that I'm glad you said it, and I hope everybody heard you say lazy so that we as the men don't get pegged negatively. But you said the word lazy, and that is true. People are lazy. That's across the board. People want to get in situations and then just want to chill and they don't want to have to do the work. And when you think about it, it's kind of crazy because it's like we're humans. We know we're complicated. We know there are so many emotions that go in it. And we want to be so lazy with each other. And it's just that never works. It doesn't matter what the situation is. Laziness will never get you anywhere.
That's true.
So just to reset the room a little bit, what men desire in women. And because I really want when women to hear this, I just really want them to just stop and just, and I do want to say this. It's not about you changing who you are to find you a man. It's most of the time what I'm hearing, these are characteristic things that will benefit you. So it's about you being the best version of you, because when you're in a healthy place emotionally, you will make better choices when it comes to a relationship. So some of these guys, like this is the best example I use. Like when you text me at 1 o'clock, WYD, it may be 6, 7 years ago, I might have replied. Now, please, you will get blocked. You will get blocked all the way around. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't
That's
text
fair.
me at 1 o'clock in the morning unless you're in California. I won't say any names of who did that. don't and WYD. That's so. I ask women, why do you even reply to that? Why is he even still in your, in your contacts? But when you get to a certain place emotionally, that kind of stuff, it will irritate you. It's like, why? So I just want women to know, it's like these things that men are saying, these are just common things that you should want to do for yourself. So just to, like I said, reset the room, let's just kind of go through, like, what is it that men are desiring in women? Because like I said, no matter the age, financial status, I hear the same thing in most men with, like I said, a couple of variations. Some of them, it was a deal breaker if you didn't have a booty. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I didn't want you anyway. All right, so Manny, we'll actually, Akeem, we'll start with you.
What do I want in a woman? I would like someone who's going to be there with me through thick and thin. Someone who is, emotionally stable as me. Someone who's gonna push me a little, because like he said, like I can be lazy, So someone who's gonna be not like a driver, but someone who's gonna motivate me to want to do better. That's it. And we had this conversation. Appearance to me really doesn't matter. Besides teeth. Besides teeth.
He pulled that with me. He was like, appearances just don't matter. I was like, not at all, because I know men are very visual. I mean, women like to look at nice things too, but men are more visual than women are. I was like, so it doesn't, he's like, no. I was like, so one eye is looking to the left and the other one is wobbling around. You don't care? He's like,
no.
Nope. I said,
No.
so if you smile and you only see 3 teeth, he's like, no.
Yeah, teeth, yeah.
So, to a certain extent, it does matter.
It does matter. It does matter. We all have a type, we all have a type. But like, there's certain things that I just can't, if you didn't have enough to not take care of them, because, things happen with your teeth, but if you can't go at least get them fixed, then no. That shows that you're kind of lazy to me, And I can't. We can't be two lazy people. We can't. It's just not going to work.
No balance.
No balance. It's lopsided. It's all lopsided.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say one of the things that I don't think we talk about enough is selflessness versus selfishness. I think oftentimes we have people in relationships who are selfish, and they think that because of something that happened early on in their lives, and most times that's things that happen to us in our childhood, we come into it with an entitlement complex, like we deserve a host of things. And while we're doing that, we're steady pulling from. It's almost like if you have a canteen and you pour from the canteen and then it's empty. It's like, well, if a man has poured so much into you, but you've given little back to him, I call that the faucet versus the cup mentality. A cup can't pour back into a faucet and the faucet be replenished. So I think oftentimes as men, when you're looking at the type of quality of a man, we're meeting women who have a cup mentality. It's like pour into me, me, versus what can I give to him that makes him better. That like what's the brother name on the bottom here?
Manny?
No, not Manny.
Akeem.
Akeem. Akeem said about how we look at things is, I think it's prevalent when it comes to relationships, and when you're looking at a man, and I can only speak for myself because the other men didn't ask me to be their ambassador, is a selfish woman is not a woman that is going to help build a relationship, because she's gonna, as Matt said, we're looking at that right side of the house versus the left side of the house, and we're only going to look at the things that I desire. I'm not going to look at what you need or what's going to make you a better man or help you be a better person, so I can get the best version of you and you can get the best version of me. I'm just about me. And so that's why you have a host of women who come into the relationship thinking they are the prize and it's all about them. They are the catch and it's me. You got to take me out. We got to have all these criteria of things we got to have. Yet her credit is bad. She ain't never owned a home. She got her car repossessed 3-4 times. And she's telling us all the stuff we got to have just to be with her. And all you got to offer me is booty? Come on, fam. So, yeah, selfishness versus selflessness.
Okay. Matt?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think this one is just, it's always going to go back to what French and Manny was talking about earlier in terms of like your vetting, right? Because, and this is where this goes again to the same space. Like, if you do, like my wife, when we were first dating, like she would do these beautiful things for me that no woman had really ever done, right? Just encouraging small things that I would be like, why'd you do that? And she would be like, because I care about you. And I'd be like, okay. Because I wasn't used to that with other women that I dated. And I think, I don't know, I've always looked at my wife as the prize, right? But she's like so humble that she never acted like that, right? Like I owed her something. She just, her thing, there's one thing that one conversation we always had, just be who you are so we can really decide if this makes sense for both of us, right? But then this notion that one person gets treated like amazingly and the other person just kind of exists again, and I feel like when women pour into men, Because I feel like I hear about those situations a lot, right? Women are like, I did this for him, I did that, boom, boom, boom. And then I got nothing out of it. But then it goes back to the vetting, because why are you doing so many things for somebody who's not pouring back into you?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it's like, although when I met my wife and within a short time, I knew I could marry her, I still wasn't giving her every piece of me, because why would I do that? You know, like we still have to grow and see if this makes sense. I still have to vet and whatever that looks like for me. And I feel like I just wish people would spend a little more time really figuring out what they actually want, but people don't know what they want. That's why we make a lot of poor decisions when we date, because we try to figure out what we want by dating mad people. And then you date all these folks, you kind of think you think you know what you like, but you've never really sat down with yourself to say, like, this is what I'm genuinely looking for, because this is what I need, not because it's what I saw on social media, which I didn't think was such a driver in relationships until getting on social audio like Clubhouse and really understanding the number of times I've heard people reference Instagram and, well, no, that's not what I saw on blank insert social media app. It's ridiculous. Like, it's so crazy to me that people are genuinely looking at social media as like a viable resource for relationships, when we all know that those people that y'all talking about get paid to post those pictures and things that y'all are looking at. They literally have a contract that is paying them to post those things, but you're making it seem like those are the rules for your relationship. Like, we just need to become better at vetting. So when you are pouring something in, so when you are, you know, spending money and resources in someone, you're getting something back, and you guys are filling each other's cup. And hopefully, you know, that is something that more people, when women are listening, that they will hear this and they were like, you know what, I really need to figure out my vetting, and I need to get that together so that I don't waste any more time with people who don't deserve it. And you know what I mean? And go for their time or resources.
Okay. Manny, you being probably the youngest one up here. So you have a different peer of friends and people that you socialize with. What would you say? Like, even with your friends, what do they find desirable in women, or what do they desire in women?
I mean, with time, because to be honest with you, a lot of the people that I'm friends, or I say have friends with, I don't really consider them friends. They ain't my family. You know what I mean? Like, I've known them for a long time. So we got to kind of grow up together, like since teenagers and things like that. And I will say over time, it's changed. You know, as you get older, as a man, you start to look for different things. You know, me particularly, I was a little bit different growing up. I wasn't really too much interested in the physical, because there was some part of me that always saw past that. You know what I mean? It was like, she bougie, she whack, she nice, she look like that, but can she cook? Can she do this? Can she? I was always like trying to nitpick. You know, that was me. Like, I was picky. Like, I don't know. She looked like that. But she putting on the funk. You know, like faking the funk. You know, and it's like, what I say is the most important thing in any relationship is just like he said, like Matt said, just be yourself. You know what I'm saying? Stop trying to be everything else or be what somebody thinks that you want them to be, because that's not realistic. And then when you can't hold on to that and you can't live up to those expectations, now you're upset with the other person because, well, wait, you said 3 days a week we was going, what happened? Oh, but you told me, you made it seem like, and now here you are. Y'all butting heads, y'all going back and forth. Now there's conflict. Oh, and then the man is not happy, the woman is not happy. This is not, you know what I'm saying? It's like, just be honest. You know what I mean? Honesty is a key. That's one thing I was when I was younger. And I would date, I was always honest. No, we're not doing that. This is what we're doing. If you're gonna, I don't care how much I like you, honesty is key. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's what is important in a relationship. Honesty, respect, like I said, and just be loyal. You know what I mean? Like, stick to loyalty. A lot of my friends feel the same way about that too. Like, at this point, you just want somebody, with everything going on, you just want somebody who, like, so you ain't messing with nobody else, right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
It'd be simple stuff like that.
Simple stuff, like, so you sure? Like, just let me know, like, you know what I mean? Like, simple stuff, like, you know what I mean? You're not asking for a lot, but, and it's even, you'll be surprised how hard that is. Like, it's like, you can't just be honest. Like, I'm asking you, what do you want? Like, you know what I mean? So we can work this out, you know what I mean? Like, if it's gonna work, it's gonna work. If it ain't, it ain't. But so, like I said, too many people want to fake the funk. Oh, I gotta be like this, so I can look this way to a person and be this way to a person. And then when you get in a relationship, all bets is off. Now you slacking, you lazy, you know, you don't want to work, you don't want to cook for your man, but you said you were gonna cook. You said you like to cook. You told me you cook. Oh, I did? That
You
was
a
just to
chef.
get you. I'm serious. Like, and unfortunately, in the younger generation, it's a lot of nonsense going on because people are not being honest.
Yep.
Just be honest. Be yourself. They're either gonna like you or they ain't. It's as simple as that.
And that's what I say, and I'll end it with that. It's like, it's not about being the woman that is so that all the men want. You don't need all the men. You just need that one. And be the best version of you for that one. And so with that being said, I want to thank all of my two Clubhouse brothers and my two cousins here. And I'll say this too, keep following me on Facebook because my book will be done soon. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so you'll be seeing more of that. And then you will see us next month. While I decide what that topic is going to be. The women keep saying, I want to be heard. I want to get up here. So I'm going to find me a male moderator so they can say what they got to say. they tag you guys saying all this stuff about them and they can't say anything back. So we're going to let them say what they got to say. We're going to, look, I say them like I'm.
Say it in the comments.
Right.
They want to be heard. They want to be heard. So thank you again. I love you guys. Enjoy the rest of your night.